Presenting Gus Gray, special correspondent in the mystery of the 9 Ivory Buddhas. The raid on the Diamond Slipper nightclub has proved abortive, but has led Gus Gray and Inspector Stain to believe that Xian Chen has his headquarters on an eastern trader called the Oriental Sun. Gray is discussing the case with the inspector at Scotland Yard when Valentine Fisher, who was the man mentioned by Miles Wilkinson before he died, telephones to say he has discovered from whom he purchased his pair of ivory idols several years before. He is just about to divulge this information when he is shot. Gray and the inspector race to Fisher's house.
Well, it seems perfectly plain, Gray. The telephone receiver wrenched out of the wall.
There's a smear of blood on the skirting there. What do you make of that?
Well, taken in conjunction with the fact that there's no sign of a body, maybe Fisher is not dead. Perhaps they've taken him away.
Perhaps. There's not much blood, and it does suggest he might be alive.
That information he was about to give might be useful to the other side.
There's a bit of a puzzle here, Dunk. Who did this, Chen or the Count?
I'd say the latter. He was shot, you know. Chen prefers a knife.
Yes, the last we heard of the Count, he was Chen's prisoner.
Well, he may have escaped.
I'm thinking of something else. Suppose they came to a compromise. This needs thinking out. By the way, I wonder if they found any fingerprints.
They're all around the kitchen window where they forced an entry. Forrest is there taking photographs.
What about the housekeeper?
Well, she's outside. Came a few minutes after we did in a squad car. May as well have her in here and see what she knows. Bring in Mrs. Puddle.
You know, Dunk, this case gets worse and worse. Just as we seem to see a clear field, something happens and we get sidetracked.
Only began on Sunday night, remember, and this is Wednesday morning. We're not doing so badly. Oh, come in, Mrs. Puddle.
Mrs. Puddle?
Mrs. Puddle.
Oh. Yes, sir. Though you'll have to speak loud as I'm rather hard of hearing.
Oh, I see. Close the door, Gray. You were Mr. Fisher's housekeeper?
As you might say, sir. I just come and did for him, as you might say, and went again.
An open confession, Dunk. Lovely.
What do you mean?
Well, she said she did for him. What more do you want?
Oh, be quiet. You'll find yourself outside.
Oh, it was just a suggestion.
I don't want to hear any more, then. How long have you been with Mr. Fisher?
You'll have to speak a bit loud, sir. My ears isn't what they was.
No, well, I'll come closer to you. How long have you been with Mr. Fisher?
About 4 years, sir. Ever since he come back from Singapore.
Singapore?
Yes, sir. But then he was always going off there. He was there about 6 months ago, I think.
Oh, was he? You don't happen to know why he went so often to Singapore, do you?
Oh, yes, sir. He used to go a-collecting his antiques.
Oh, I see.
Oh, he used to close up the place when he wasn't here and go poking about tombs and things, sir. Fair give me the orders even to dust all them there things in his museum.
I suppose it would. Now, tell me, Mrs. Puddle, did you happen to notice 2 little ivory idols in the museum? Just have a glance at this. This is one of them.
Oh, yes, sir, yes. Mr. Fisher was very careful about them. He used to keep them locked up in his safe.
In his safe? Not in the glass cabinet against the wall by the door of the museum?
Ah, no, sir, no. I never see them in there.
There's more in this than meets the old optic, Dunk. And ye gods and little fishes.
Yeah, that's enough of your blaspheming, young man.
What's the matter?
Suppose there are 3 groups after these idols. Chen, the Count and the Countess, and Valentine Fisher with Miles Wilkinson.
Oh, you've gone too fast. Why would Fisher ring me up to give me information?
Oh, I don't know. Leave that for the moment.
Mrs. Puddle, you've not been there for the past week or 2.
No, sir. No. Me sister, sir. You see, it's all her dermatitis. She's got it all in her leg. Oh, you should see her lips, sir. It's a sight, I can tell you. The dermatitis has got right into the bone. Oh, you should see it, sir.
We'll get the inspector to have a look at it on his next afternoon off.
Never mind about your sister, Mrs. Puddle. You've not seen Mr. Fisher for a week, is that so?
Yes. I've been tending to my sister.
Can you tell us where Mr. Fisher kept his records?
Records, sir? He never had no gramophone.
I mean sales records about his business transaction.
Oh, them, sir. They was in the museum, I think. There's a cupboard to the windows.
I see, and that's all that you can tell us?
Yes, sir. I wish I could do more. Oh, well, here today and gone tomorrow, as I always say. Poor old gentleman. I guess he knows what all them there tunes is for now, all right.
No, then I won't keep you any longer, Mrs. Puddle.
Oh, well, I needn't wait, sir?
No, I have your address.
Oh, no, that's my sister, sir. What's got the dermatitis I told you about. Oh, terrible it is. And the doctor says...
Yes, Mrs. Puddle, it must be. I hope the good woman will improve.
Yes, sir, I hope so. What with the message the doctor's given her... Oh, goodbye, sir.
But... Oh, what a woman.
Poor old soul. You shouldn't have treated her so unkindly.
I did no such thing.
Well, she wanted you to look at her sister's hip, didn't she? You shouldn't have spurned her like that, Dunk.
Oh, shut up. What else she said is enough to think about.
Agreed, but...
Well, what are you staring at?
That idol, Dunk.
Well, you've seen it before, haven't you?
No, dear old flatfoot, I have not.
What? Oh, don't be ridiculous.
Look, this one has a small chip broken off the head, and it's not a fresh scar either.
But that's the one you gave me.
It certainly is not. This ivory is more yellow.
Oh, confound it all, Bray, it must be. It couldn't have been anything else. It's not been out of my possession.
Oh, yes, it has. You sent it to someone for examination.
Dr. Kingsley. But that's absurd. He's done work for us for years, besides being a particular friend of mine.
Could it have been changed at the yard? There's still that mysterious information leak to be accounted for.
It's possible.
By heavens. Fisher. You remember yesterday morning? He took it with him to the museum when he went to bring us the other one. Chen's men attacked him and took our idol. The one I've got in my hand now is the one which was in Fisher's possession.
And in the attack they became mixed up.
Yes. Fisher said the one he had was imperfect. And this one has a chip off the head. Now, wait a minute. There's another side to it. Suppose Fisher deliberately changed them.
In view of what we've just had from Mrs. Puddle, that sounds more likely.
Now, why should he do that? Dunk, what's queer about these idols? They're blind. They've a motto on their bases. Funny place to put a motto anyway. Now, if Fisher merely wanted to read what was written there, decipher it...
the proverb's mere nonsense.
By itself, yes. But if you had a number of them properly arranged, they might form a sensible sentence.
There may be something in that.
Anyway, it suggests that Fisher wasn't as communicative as he might have been.
No, well, we'll get his records for the museum and take them back to the yard. We may be able to discover where the idols originally came from.
Don't you ever have anything to drink in this office of yours, Dunk?
If you want to drink, you can get it for the assistant commissioners upstairs. He's the only one can afford to keep good whiskey to give his friends.
You might be assistant commissioner someday, Dunk.
It's no good waiting till then for a free drink.
You're telling me. What's that you got there? Cablegram?
Aye.
Can you let me see it?
No.
After all I've done for you.
It's confidential.
I'll not breathe a word about it.
Well, it's from Singapore.
You old fox. You wired them about Chen. Come on, what's it say?
Well, briefly, Chen was once concerned with a terrorist gang called the Chi-Han. What that means, I don't know. Led by a Chinese called Lin Yan.
The idol of Lin Yan. We're getting somewhere.
Chen was Lin Yan's lieutenant, but he escaped when the Chi-Han was broken up by the police in Singapore. Lin Yan died in prison 4 months ago.
Doesn't tell us much. It'll be just about that time that Fisher was out there, wouldn't it?
It's significant also that the one sales book we want is missing, and it covers that particular time.
Whoever shot him probably took it away, knowing its value.
Well, that can wait for a bit. It's 10:30, and I'm going to have a little chat with Spike Trevanion. He's in the out office. You can stay.
Oh, thanks, Dunk. I intended to.
Speller, bring Trevanion in. We'll want a shorthand writer, too. Right, sit down, Spike. Feel better after a night in the cells?
You can't get away with this, Stain.
Neither can you, Spike. Murder's a pretty desperate business.
I told you. I know nothing about that murder.
Last night the Count tried to shoot Sergeant Sparrow here. I don't blame him for that, but it's against the law. And the Count is a wanted criminal. He was on your premises. And further, Spike, there's all that stock of wines and silks in the warehouse behind the diamond slipper. I know a penny worth of duty has been paid on it. You're in a nasty little hole, my lad.
The diamond slipper doesn't belong to me.
It stands in your name.
Listen, if I spill what I know, will you drop the charges against me?
I can't do that. But I'll let you off as likely as possible.
The Count used the slipper as his headquarters. If anyone wanted to see him, they did it there.
Well, go on. What do you know about these idols?
Oh, not much. There's supposed to be 9 of them. One's no good without the rest.
What did the Count want them for?
No, I don't know. I just ran the club and kept my nose out of his business.
Spike, don't try to pull the wool over these eyes. You've been inside 6 times, 4 of them for blackmail. You're the last person to begin wearing a halo. Halo? What do you know?
Oh, only what I could pick up.
That's a quaint way of describing it.
The Count was in the big money. And these idols were in it, too. He had 4 of them.
How did you discover that?
Oh, I just found out.
What about the Countess Vesterkov?
She was in it with him. They worked together.
And this other man, the man who did the kidnapping last night.
Oh, I don't know anything about him. I was surprised as anyone when they got us down in the warehouse.
Ever heard the Count speak of him?
He was afraid of him. He was after the idols, too. That's why he put it over the boss.
Where did the Count keep the figures he had?
I don't know. Not of the diamond slipper. I've only seen them there once.
Were they all the same?
Ask me.
I am asking you.
I don't know. But I'll tell you something else, though. There's a dealer who's on the lookout for these idols for the Count. He phoned in last night to say he'd located another one.
And the Count, of course, told you all about it.
Oh, no. I just happened to be by the phone when it rang.
Oh, Spike, what an innocent little boy you are. What's this dealer's name?
Krantz.
Krantz, good. Well, what is it, Constable? Oh, coffee and sandwiches. You can't say we don't treat you well, Spike. Put them down there, Constable.
Haven't had any breakfast.
Condemned men don't starve.
What do you mean? You sell...
All right, get on with it. That's all, Constable. Now, Spike, the most important question of all. You've seen the Count face to face. Who is he?
I can't tell you that, Inspector. I swear I can't.
Have some coffee. Might stimulate your imagination.
I want to know, Spike. There's still that murder charge, you know.
You've no evidence.
We've ways of finding it. Come on now. It's for your own good.
Oh, is it? You don't know the Count. He'd kill me if he ever found out I told you. He's got his men everywhere.
Perhaps he'll have one to see you going onto the trap in the grey light of dawn.
Ah, shut up. All right, I'll tell you. He got me into this mess, and he should have got me out. Only he hasn't.
Well?
This coffee's got a funny taste.
Stop stalling and get on with it. Who is this Count?
You know him pretty well. He's...
Wee, McGregor.
Good Lord, he's gone out to it.
Let's have a look at him.
Dunk. He's dead.
God, the coffee. Sparrow, get Dr. McClassen here as fast as your mother's legs will carry you. And find out where the coffee came from. This man's been poisoned.